accomplish this. The first point is to invest in your personal development, right? The second point, invest in your team development. So even if you're not a manager right now, you may one day be called upon to do this. And the third thing is to invest in peer collaboration. So let's take point number one, investing in your personal development. You gotta ask yourself 3 questions. Okay, who do I want to become? What do I want my legacy to be? And what do I want to be known for? So, we hear a lot about personal development, but why? Who do I want to become? Especially for those of you who are managers right now. You are already a manager by title, right? And you've been given responsibilities, but who do I really want to become? What do I want to be known for? And what do I want my legacy to be? Not everyone asks these questions, okay? High-performing people ask these questions all the time. And if you're not asking yourself these questions, you may not be performing at your highest level. And you may not be getting the highest level results right now. But the good news is you can change that. You can change it by asking that question today. And even as you're making your notes, I want you to be thinking of that question. Whoever you are now, who do I want to become? Everyone's talking about Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. We're always in process. Who do you want to become? Even in this role that you're in. What do I want to be known for, and what is my legacy? So let's say, for example, just to give you an idea, who do I want to become? You could say I want to become the most conscientious leader that my company has ever seen, okay, in this context. What legacy do I want to leave behind? You might say, I want to be known as a fair manager, fair leader. That's your legacy. When you leave that company, that organization, they're going to say, there goes, what's her name? Amy. She was such a fair manager. What do you want to be known for? You could say, I want to be known for being the greatest mentor to my team. You see, when you answer those questions, you're not committing yourself to be more. Okay? You're not committing yourself to be more. Managers are typically promoted, in my experience, one of 3 ways. Now, this may not be you, in my experience. They're promoted because they have been in the company a long time, and so you need to be a manager now. It's one way. It could be almost like going from 3rd grade to 4th grade. Or, my favorite, which didn't work for me, but you have an excellent employee and you want to multiply them. They're so excellent, you want to promote them. You want to reward them with being a manager because they're so excellent. They're so good. And I've done all 3 in my I've run 2 organizations. A law firm is 20-something years old now. I'm not a lawyer. I'm the CEO there. My husband's the attorney. And I've run a charity for 16 years. And I've done these 3 types of promotion. The last one, the one where you have a great employee and you think, man, I just want her to be a manager. She's so good. I've done that. And I'll call this employee B. I promoted this woman B. She was exceptional. As she became a manager, I sent her to the classes, the management classes, training classes. I mentored her. But she never transferred those skills to management. Her excellent skills never transferred. And eventually I had a conversation with her. I said, why are you failing in this position with every training you've gotten, everything? She said, I never wanted to be a manager. I never wanted it. I wanted it. I never wanted it. See, I never had a conversation with her before. I just assumed she would be so thrilled. I wanted to reward her for her work. And so I promoted her, and it didn't work. She was not a manager of people. And eventually, she moved to a different state, and she became a correctional officer, and she excelled. She's a task person. So you may be a manager, promoted one of these ways or another way, and it is really going to be up to you to make that position work for you. If you're in it already, it is up to you to make that position work. Okay? So here's some things that you can do. Ask yourself another question. I'm a big believer in self-assessment. I assess myself all the time. I ask myself questions all the time, not just in business, in life. How am I doing? How am I doing with my relationships? How am I doing with my husband? How am I doing with my kids? How am I doing in my work? How am I feeling? Always assessing myself. So you may want to ask yourself, where do I need to improve? Where do I need to improve? One of the things that I can suggest, for example, when you become a manager, you may have to do presentations. You have to run staff meetings, team meetings. You have to present to your boss. How are your presentation skills? Are they good? Are they fair? Are they average? Anything beyond, anything under good is not good enough. Okay, fair and average don't really work. It's not going to get you to the 21st century level success. So join Toastmasters. I was in Toastmasters years ago. There were lawyers in Toastmasters, business owners, entrepreneurs. They weren't trying to be a speaker like trying to speak here. They were just trying to run their staff meetings effectively. Personal development, let me just say this, is on your dime. Now your manager, your company, your leader could say, let me pay for a conference here or there or a seminar, but really and truly, personal development is really on your dime. And I'm going to tell you why later on, because you're building a brand. So it's really your investment. So join Toastmasters. Improve your communication skills. You may want to go back to school. I went back to school when I was 45, 46 years old. When I went back to school, I was already running my law firm 14 years, very successfully. I was running my charity for about 8 years, very successfully. And people wondered, why are you going back to school to get a degree? I wanted it. I wanted it for my own confidence. I was being asked to speak, and one time I was asked to speak before a group of college students, and I felt a little bit hypocritical because I couldn't tell them to stay in college because I didn't get my degree. So I went back to school for me, to help my confidence. So as you assess yourself, ask yourself, do I need to go back to school? You're here today at this conference, and I applaud that. Attend conferences, attend seminars. Listen to podcasts, join mastermind groups. You guys know what masterminds are? Okay, masterminds are groups where people, like managers, get together and from different industries, and they get together maybe once a month. It could be over the phone, and they just talk about best practices. What's working in your company? What's working in her company? What's working for her? What's working for you? What's this leader person over here doing? Mastermind, putting the right minds together. Be a solutions-minded person. A solutions-minded person. What does that mean? Well, I hear managers, they'll say, my company has so many problems, right? This suck, that suck, whatever. The bosses doesn't give us enough resources, etc. And I'll say to that manager, how's your department doing? Oh, terrible. We don't have anything. We can't get the resources. No, you're the boss of your department. Be solutions-minded. The people who are going to get the farthest, they're the ones who don't just come with a problem. They always have a solution. So be solutions-minded. Be an extra mile thinker. Be an extra mile thinker. Someone once said there's no traffic jam on the extra mile. That means you have a lot of space for you to be on that road. Be an extra mile thinker. I had a manager once. Her name is Jennifer. This woman I love. Okay? If you say, Jennifer, get me a spreadsheet, I need to see how we're tracking, how we're doing. She wouldn't just give you an Excel spreadsheet that's just plain. She'd give you a spreadsheet with legends and keys and colors and pie charts. She was just always extra mile. Served her well in our organization and beyond. Be an extra mile thinker. Try to make your boss look good. That woman made me look good every time. Try to make the person above you look good. What is the brand you are developing? You know, when I ask a question, you know, at the beginning, you know, you should ask yourself the question, who am I becoming? What's my legacy? You know, what I want to be known for? That's your brand. Now, in the past, brands were like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, right? But now brands are what? The Kardashians, you know, Tony Robbins. The brands are people now, for the most part. I mean, we still have the Coca-Cola brand and Pepsi brand, but brands are people. And now more than ever, it's so much easier for you and I to become a brand with social media, with our website. But to become a brand, you gotta be known for something. Like, we like Coke because of what? We like Pepsi because of what? You know, your brand has to be authentic, you have to have integrity, you have to be the same online and offline. And more people who are going up in these corporate environments, it's all about the brand. And you say, well, why would I need to be a brand in my company? You won't always be there, but your brand goes with you. It's like education, right? Once you have it, no one can take it away from you. You establish your brand, it's gonna go with you when you leave your company. Jennifer's brand went with her when she left. This is who she was. You know, you may need to change your network, meet some new people. So typically what happens, right? A manager gets promoted, right? But then they don't want to leave the friends behind. I'm not telling you should leave your friends behind, okay? However, you were an employee first and now you're a manager. You need new skill sets. The people who are still employees can't help you with that. It just can't. So you need to update. I didn't say upgrade. Update your network. Update your network. You need a new network of other managers or people who are a little bit ahead of you. That is something that a lot of managers fail to do. So they're in a manager chair, but they're not very effective because the voices that you're hearing are voices from the position before. You need voices for the position you're in and ahead, and also ahead. So you need to update your network. You may also need to get a coach. For a person who's trying to develop themselves, there are 3 different influences: coach, mentor, sponsor. And let me tell you the difference between a coach, mentor, and sponsor. A coach is someone you pay for, right? You get a coach, he says, hey coach, I feel like I am not as a high performance as I should be. So I'm gonna pay you to hold me accountable to my goals, to help me, meet certain deadlines, to kick me in the butt, that's your coach. And they'll give you some ideas too. That's your coach, you're paying for that. You meet with them at a certain time and they give you assignments, you do your assignments, they hold you accountable. A mentor is someone who has some skill sets that you admire, that you like, you want to be like that person. That's free. And you enter into a relationship with them with some kind of an agreement. You may say, hey, can we meet quarterly for lunch? You pay, okay? A lot of times people say, hey, can you mentor me? Mentors don't have a lot of time, but they'll do it for you. But where people make the mistake is they have an expectation. But to do this right, take your mentor out. You're paying for lunch for 2 hours of their time. Okay, so that's a mentor. And you're going to listen to them because obviously you want them to be an influencer in your life. A sponsor, this may more apply to Aquanetta. If you're in a corporate job, a sponsor is someone in that organization who is much ahead of you, who is invested in your career. They're invested and they're invested in your career. They're going to open doors for you for promotion. Okay? That's a sponsor. And that's also free. So you may need to get involved with a mentor, a coach, or a sponsor. And this is all under the personal development. This is on you, okay, for you to grow. The next point is invest in your team. Invest in your team. So, another question you're going to ask yourself: how can I make my department better? And how can I make it that these people who I am in charge of want to work for me is always asking questions. You should ask yourself questions a lot of times. Now, you've heard the saying, people don't leave bad jobs, they leave what?
Bad managers.
There you go. Do you want to be that bad manager? Right? We all know. There's nothing wrong with a job. It's a job, it's paying you. But people leave. But they leave the bad managers. So how can you change that up? Think like the CEO of your department. So, we all have CEOs, right? But when you go to work and you're managing your team, think like you're a CEO of your department. What is the culture that you are cultivating in your department? Remember when I mentioned that managers complain that, the place has no resources, this and that, complaining. But what was the culture they were cultivating in their department? That's your responsibility as a manager. What is the culture that you're creating? When, I mentioned I was running a charity, right? So at one point I had to step away for a couple of years because I had to go really focus more on the law firm. And I had 4 departments, 4 managers. I called them together and I said, look, I want you to think like the CEO of your department. I am going to empower you. You'll have certain financial thresholds that you can spend without calling me. But and they were scared at first. But I said, I want you to think like you're the boss. What would you do? How would you make this company better? What would you do? What strategies? Let me tell you, best decision ever made. They collaborated with each other, and they were managing more like volunteers, which is not easy to manage volunteers. At the end of that process, these managers really developed and grew as people. The team loved them. Their team loved them, and the allegiance moved from me, which was good, to them. It was powerful. But no one has to empower you. You can empower yourself to do that. Think like the CEO. Think like a little boss. Because if you're a manager and you have some kind of a mission, you're trying to see, what's my next move? Right? What is my next step? Even if it's not in that company, what is next for me? Who am I becoming? What's next for me? So, what's the culture there? You could develop in your department a department mission statement. So the company has its own mission statement, right? So, for example, my mission statement at my charity in a nutshell was, okay, we're working with these disempowered families. We're going to remove the roadblocks to their success. We're going to use a holistic approach of food and clothing to get them to become self-sufficient, right? So that's the overall mission statement. Now the departments can say, how can we be the best food pantry or the best career center? What can we do to be the best? And they could have their own mission statement for the department that feeds into the bigger mission statement. Because let's face it, when they win, the company wins. When the company wins, everyone's winning. And a lot of times people don't understand that. They're in silos. The 21st century leader, you cannot think of silos. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. It doesn't help anyone. So how are you working with the rising stars in your organization? Many times managers get accused of this. They keep people down. They keep the bright people down. Meanwhile, the person above the managers, we know who the bright people are already on your team. We've seen them already. We know. We also know when you're jealous of them. We also know when you're keeping them down. So John Maxwell gave this example, right? He said, if you're trying to bring someone down, so this is the person, this is you, right? Trying to bring them down. You're going down too. Right? You're going down too. You're bringing them down. You're going down too. You're going down in people's eyes. You're going down. But if you're trying to bring them up, you're having to tip up and grow yourself. So you're trying to pull them up. And that's who you need to become. You need not to be in competition ever with anyone on your team who you're supervising. Ever. Make work fun. Be flexible. I learned this when in my early stage of leadership and management, I'm going back 20-something years now, I was an inflexible boss. Then I had kids and I realized, ooh, when you have kids, things change, right? The kids get sick. Okay, I understood better why moms wanted time off with the kids, because now I had kids. When I didn't have kids, I wasn't flexible. It's like, these moms are always wanting time off. And if you're not a mom and you're a boss, you may be insensitive. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's easy. Because if you're a boss is on an age-driven boss, you don't get it. You don't get the softer side of business. Now, we're here in Miami, a true story that happened. Why I say be flexible? Because inflexibility can cost, 5 more minutes, can cost your company money. Hilton Hotel had a huge lawsuit because of this lady, a dishwasher, a Christian woman with 5 or 6 kids. She got hired by the Hilton with the understanding that I want to take Sundays off to church. They did it for 7 years, right? Then a manager came in and said none of that. The lady appealed to HR. HR says, no, you got to work Sunday. She didn't come to work on Sunday. They fired her. She sued. She got awarded $36,000 for lost salary, $500,000 for mental damages, and $21 million because the jury said stick it to Hilton. Exactly. You as an inflexible manager can cost your company money by there was no point to that. So make work fun. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up a little quicker. Now, Jack Welch says, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. That was in the first one, personal development. But when you become a leader, it's all about growing others. Okay? That's what success becomes about. And the third part is invest in your relationship with your peers. Consider working across departmental lines, right? So you have other managers on your team maybe who did not attend the seminar. How can you go back and share your knowledge with other managers? How can you make the rest of your company good? How can you work across departmental lines? How can you share more information? How about initiating projects with another department? You help them out, they help you out. Be the pioneer of that in your organization. This way, when you're involved in a 360-degree review, everyone can see the same picture of who you are, of who you became. So work across lines. It's amazing what you can learn from others when you are not in competition. Listen, remember, competition and jealousy is a small-minded mindset. It's when you're not confident. When you're confident in who you are, you don't have to feel in competition. Okay? So work across lines. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. She is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. That was Ronald Reagan. Okay? You can be the leader of that in your organization. You can be the pioneer of that. This is what's going to work in the 21st century. Investing in your personal development, that's on your dime. Investing in your team development, and investing in peer-to-peer collaboration. Be the leader. All right, I think my time is up. Thank you so much.